Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. Okay. Apologies, a few minutes late. I was just catching up on some very interesting political news and all of that stuff. Oh, look, someone here says, Jews Nut says, Hoagie must be partying with 45, hence the tardiness. Oh, we're 45. That's cheeky. That's cheeky. What's it? Someone saying here? Old Windwalker said, hopefully he didn't fall us. I think that's supposed to say fail us. No, I am here. I am here, and I'm not asleep. Oh, someone says here, Spirit Reading said, Hoagie should have way more subscribers. Seem unusual. Well, tell me about it. Yeah, it's. People like what they like, but always like, share, and subscribe, of course, if you want to support the channel and stuff like that. And people like what they like, and I like to believe, I believe I offer value on this channel, insights and truths, of course. And each to their own. I've got my own little theories, but I'll keep those to myself. I'll let you guys debate that out. All right. So first of all, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining me. A bit of an impromptu. I don't normally do shows on a Tuesday, and of course we've got the Wednesday show tomorrow. Just to give you a little update on that. So it's going to be Sheila, it's going to be Lady G, and it's going to be Dave. No. What am I talking about? No, it's not. I've set up this new rota system here. It's going to be Libby, someone called Libby, which Lena recommended. So Lena recommended her. So she's completely new. I'm not collaborated with her before, but I'm really looking forward to it. So that's a special show for you guys tomorrow. That's coming tomorrow. But thank you here, quite a few of you here joining me. This is remarkable. Oh, someone's saying here, Kat Van Horn says, hello all you fine people, thanks for waiting. I was making myself an iced coffee. It's only 100 Fahrenheit, which is 37 Celsius outside. Yuck. That is absolutely boiling. And then Chemical Squirrel says, what's on the docket this evening? I'm going to give you a little bit of actually, I would say framework, not that much. And then Lynn Dennis says, hit the like button. Thank you. So what we're going to talk about today, obviously we're going to be talking about just the absolute cray that is happening in the United States. This madness, of course, with Duck L'Orange and Trump and stuff like that. Also, as well, I want to take some of your questions live. Normally I take questions in advance, but there wasn't time this time, and I'll be taking questions for tomorrow anyway. So I'll be posting up for questions probably after this show for the Hogelish tomorrow. But what I also want to talk as well is the powers that be, oligarchy, and also new movements and things that are happening, particularly in the UK. So just to give you a bit of news, those in the UK will know this, but just in case you don't know, a new party has been set up. At the moment, it's got a holder place name, and it's called Your Party. Yeah. And this party is going to be run, well, depending on the membership, what they want. And I've joined this party, by the way. It's going to be run by Jeremy Corbyn and a young woman called Zara Sultana. And essentially, it is a new left-wing party. So it's for about renationalization of water, of gas, I think railways, infrastructure, the stuff really that government should look after, social housing, proper safety nets and benefits of people, like proper safety nets, affordable housing. If this party ran in America, its policies would be extremely popular. It would be extremely popular. In 3 days, I think it's 3 days and loose change, it has already got over 500,000 members have signed up. When this first came out, I saw them having like just psychically like 2.3 million, something like that. It probably could be more, to be honest, but I think they're going to get into the millions of members. If you've got 500,000 people becoming members of the party, also donating in the space of 3 days, that you really are onto something. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because obviously we've seen a lot of, oh, Mykonos. Okay, I'll click on that. If I see questions that I'm going to read on, I'm just clicking the star button. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because we all see the effects, don't we, of this Pluto in Capricorn, yeah? Look at all the corporate douchebaggery that is going on right now. Now, don't get me wrong. Corporations have their uses, yeah? But we are seeing a level of ruthlessness, particularly in the United States, these merciless job cuts. I mean, you know, I'm a YouTuber, as you know, and I watch a lot of independent media, and my God, I'm seeing a lot of sharing like on YouTube who are also sampling people off TikTok who are talking about, I've just been laid off. I can't get a job. People who have literally, we're talking about people that have applied for like 500 jobs and more. 500. One YouTuber put up a video on TikTok for someone who applied for over 1,000 jobs and didn't hear anything. I'm also hearing in the States that a lot of these jobs are fake. Some of them are fake just to look good, or they put people through the process, make them do assignments and stuff like that. And they call it take-home work. And then they're not given the job. They're just being exploited. It doesn't mean every single employer is like that, but of course not. But in the tech industry, you know, IBM, you know, Google, Microsoft, or we're talking tens of thousands of jobs. Why am I talking about that? Because part of what this new party wants to do is to have proper unions for people. One of the biggest reasons why people, particularly when you account for inflation as well, in the United States, effectively, the average American has not really had a significant pay rise. I think they said since the 1970s back end, but to be generous, let's say the 80s. Yeah, let's say the 80s to be generous. I think it's actually longer than that. And this is not sustainable. This is why people can't afford anything. Yeah, because we have inflation. What inflation does is it is a tax on ordinary people. Inflation is useful for people who have assets because they, of course, go up with time. But the spending power in the money goes down. Yeah. And we are seeing, like, with, you know, with the astrology, this kind of corporate oligarchy in a way we've seen, isn't it? Look at the politics, not just in America, but look around the world. But in America, it's most obvious, isn't it? Because we see Zuckerberg, yeah, we see Bezos, we see of course, but Musk. Look at that inauguration. Cast your mind back to the inauguration. Do you remember all the billionaires standing out there in the front and center, all pally? It's a rigged system. And what this new party talks about, which is currently called Your Party, but it will change, yeah? It is talking about empowering the people. There is such an appetite for this because it's been understood that, you know, you've got at the moment, Farage, if if his numbers continue as the way they are, if we have a general election, Nigel Farage could be the Prime Minister of the UK. Nigel Farage is big friends with who? Duck L'Orange, Trump. We obviously don't want that, yeah, because we're just going to get. I would say to people, like, you know, basically reform, which is what the Farage party is called. It's like in the UK, we get the far right, we get the Downton Abbey version. Yeah, we get the Downton Abbey version. It's more polite, but it's still brutal. Now, Downton Abbey was a brilliant series, but I'm talking about that top-down structure. You have the people at the top, and everyone else is just seen as servants. Yeah. And for the first time in a very, very, very long time, there is some genuine excitement and hope in British politics. And I just had to share it. Yeah, I just had to share it because, you know, we need a pushback. We need a pushback against this. Angela is saying you've been living it up in the Cotswolds with Chucky. So apparently JD Vance wants to visit the Cotswolds, which is an idyllic part of the UK here. They said because the reception might not be that great, they might be trying to move him somewhere else, but we do not want him here, just like we don't want Trump. Someone says here, Libby is the best. Says Mary. It'll be my first time working with her, so I'm really looking forward to working with her. Alcia says, Libby, woohoo. And another person saying here, Libby is awesome. Oh, great. Connie B says, who? And someone else says, I love Libby. And everyone's saying, wow, okay, great praise for Libby. So I'm looking forward to that. So we're going to see her. Yeah, it's tomorrow, isn't it? Today, at the moment, technically, tomorrow has arrived for me because I started at midnight and it's now 15:15. But a lot of people saying, Libby is great, can't wait. Oh, wow. Like, she's obviously really good. Vanessa's saying that. Brenda's saying that. Oh, you all know Libby. Fabulous. Anna's saying that. Oh, fabulous. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Oxford Cat saying Libby is amazing. You will love her. Libby is off the chain. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Oh, and now Connie B saying, oh, Libby. I love Libby. I hope it's after 3 p.m. PST. Professional trenches teaching middle school. It will go up at the usual time of 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, which is midnight my time. Yeah, so it will go up this time tomorrow, basically. All right. Oh, look at this. Let's start reading on that. And thank you, Sutod, as well for your donation. Much appreciated. And then someone's saying your name here, Chris Cassidy. I'm not sure if I quite understand that, but at the moment the new party is called Your Party, but that will change. It's going to be decided by the members. Right. Okay. So Sue Todd says, thank you. Can you foresee a time in the USA when there is kindness and justice and enough people have transmuted trauma so they are not reacting from distortions and pain of trauma? Well, let's take a little look. Let's see what's going on. Yes, I mean, look, there is a lot of alchemy that needs to happen in the United States. Yeah, a lot, because, like you say, just like you say, Sue Todd, is that there is a lot of. Oh, I've got that right. Oh gosh, what's happened here with my cards? Oh no, that's fine. I thought they were upside down. There is a lot of unprocessed traumas. There's a lot of unprocessed injustice. There is a lot of unprocessed emotions. There's a lot of financial injustice. I mean, just look at that so-called big beautiful bill. I mean, what a disaster! What an absolute disaster that is going to be. It already is, but the full effects of it haven't kicked in yet. So let's see. Let's just see the question again. Can I foresee a time in the USA? Kindness, justice, and enough people. Okay, kindness and justice. Let's have a look. Remember that. And this actually, that card actually fell out, so I'm going to put that there. Let's see here. The future of America. Kindness, justice. What's that time like to be like? I remember as well, with tarot cards, it's not so good with timing. I prefer to use the astrology, of course. I'm an astrologer, but I use timing all the time, yeah, with the astrology in it, and it's very accurate. But let's just see what the cards have to say about that. Okay, it's not given a when. The cards haven't given a when, but they've sort of given a how. Yeah, a how. The card that fell out when I was doing the first shuffle was this, yeah, which is the 5 of Cups. And you'll notice that 3 of the cups are down and 2 of them are standing up. And here, literally, you can see spilt blood. Yeah, so you know it's quite dark. This card. This card talks about disappointment, betrayal, a sense of loss. Yeah, but there's still 2 cups left standing up. I think this is how America is just feeling. Yeah, as a nation. I think there are a lot of people that feel betrayed, that feel upset, have a sense of loss for what America could be and what it should have been. Yeah. And it doesn't mean there aren't good things happening in America. And I don't want this to come across as an America bash, because it isn't. As you know, I've been to the States, you know, a lot. I think, is it 5 or 6 times? I can't even remember now. But I've been to 25 states out of the 50 states in the United States. So I've traveled around there a lot. And my granddad was American, God rest his soul. He's not alive anymore. And so I have a lot of connections to America. And of course, I have clients from all over the world, but most of you are from the States. You know, we talk with each other, don't we, several times a week. And I'm always watching stuff that is going on in America, because I have that family connection, client connection, energetic, psychic, spiritual, the whole shebang. So I understand this card, yeah, and I understand that so many Americans are feeling this, feeling in pain. Before even all of the BS with Duck L'Orange, part of the reason why so much of that has taken hold is because of this. So there is this sense that the American dream is no longer working, yeah. It always was a dream, but it was one that people could aspire to, yeah. So this is given the context. Now we're getting... the cards are now starting to talk more about applications, yeah? How to actually make it happen. It's not showing a when, per se, but it's showing what will happen. So one of the things that has to happen is that justice really does have to mean justice. The cruelty will end when cruel people are appropriately punished, yeah, or dealt with. So you see what I mean? So the cruelty will end when cruel people are dealt with. And for that, we need justice, equality. In a way, you could say this is SCOTUS, but we know in many ways that is not the ideal of what SCOTUS is. SCOTUS, in many ways, is an enemy now. And it actually, technically, this card is showing up in the obstacle position. So what does that say? It shows that there has to be legal transparency, legal honesty, legal integrity. But it's also showing there is a problem, yeah, which we know with current SCOTUS there is a problem. Now, it doesn't mean like there have been times where SCOTUS has kind of quasi done the right thing, but when we think of who's on SCOTUS and how they've been voting, particularly when it comes to what's his name, the Lawrence, what's his face, Lawrence, is it Lawrence? Oh crikey, you know that one, the one who's got the wife Ginny, who was also part of a cult, Ginny Thomas, yeah. So him, and then you've got, I forget what their names, Alito and that lot. Big problems. So what this says to me is the cruelty will stop when you get the cruelty out of SCOTUS, and SCOTUS starts doing its job, because the rest of the legal framework has been doing its job. It's just that SCOTUS has been squashing them. Yeah, I mean, not that it's been perfect, but broadly speaking, the legal profession has tried to do its job, the judges, and then when it goes up to SCOTUS, you see they've been kind of doing that, you know, strangling it. So the big part of the big step, first step to America's healing, is that law and order has to apply to everyone, and it has to be fair. So SCOTUS needs to be reformed, maybe even gotten rid of and changed in some way. Yeah. We look here, the next card, we get the Ace of Cups. And aces are in general yes cards. They're affirming cards. This card can talk about hope. Yeah. The emotions are overflowing. So we do have the emotions overflowing in some of the more negative sense. Yeah. Because this is the card that fell out. This is talking about the losses that America and Americans feel. However, if there is justice, then of course what will happen is there will be more happiness. There will be more freedom. There will be more, because the bad people will be dealt with. Do you see? Do you see how that flows on, how it flows on? But this is also talking about the intensity of the emotions. However, if we look here in the middle card, we have the Tower card. So what this is showing me, like, now if we look at this, the Tower card talks about, you see here, there's the strike of lightning, which is knocking off, yeah, the crown. So of course this is talking about leadership, the king, yeah, the king falling. It's like a king has to fall, or kings have to fall in America. Do you know what I mean? To bring about this change, because what this card is about is that this tower is not built on the right foundation, and this shocking energy comes through to topple it over. So in a way, it's like, if we think of who is trying to play the role of king now, then of course we can think of people like Duck L'Orange, but it's not just that. This can also be kings of industry. So there needs to be a change there. And it could be a shocking change. This could also be revolution. Yeah, revelation and revolution. If we look here, we have got the King of Wands. King of Wands also always talk about entrepreneurship, leadership, entrepreneurship. This is also showing as well that big business has to change. Big business might have some shocks to it. Yeah, so that has to change. And then ultimately here, this is about America having a global outlook where decisions are made to help the globe collectively. This is also talking about, you know, the tariff actions and stuff like that, but this is more in the more benevolent sense. Yeah, not just trying to tax the world and just do all of this madness, what Trump has been doing, working with the world. Yeah, so it's basically justice. Social justice would lead to more happiness. But in order for that to happen, the old systems and old ways have to be broken down. Yeah, it has to be changed. Can't have the oligarchy. Business as well has to change too. And this is about being a part of the global community. Yeah. So I hope you guys found that. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's see who else is in the house. What's it called here? Katie says, how many in the US SCOTUS have tried to Epstein and his icky business? Oh, that's a good one. Let's highlight that there. Spirit reading 7. Spirit reading says, that's exciting. A new party in the UK. Congrats. Yeah, it's doing well. Juicenut says, makes sense. Thames Water has been in big trouble for decades. Yeah, they are. I was getting some ridiculous bills from them. Turns out maybe my water meter is broken, but they kind of give you, the bills are quite funny because they let you know what your bills are in equivalent of cups of tea and baths and showers and stuff. You know, this is Britain after all. And one of the bills that I had for them, they said, you have made the equivalent of 698,000 cups of tea. Your bill is now going to be like £2,000 per month for water. Like, really? So I rang them up and I'm like, guys, this is BS. Like, clearly there's some kind of leak, or the machine is broken or something like that. So they've frozen everything, agreed, you know, we settled on something that was far more reasonable, because my water bill is not nearly that, and I'm extremely economic with water. Even though I live here in the UK, I don't believe in wasting water just because it rains quite a lot here. I use waters if I'm in the outback in Australia or something like that. I use my water tub, you know, like the kitchen tub, put the dishes in that. You know, I have my showers, of course, but I'm not having, you know, luxurious baths and stuff. I'm clean, obviously. But do you know what I mean? I really do believe in not wasting water. I don't even run the tap when I'm brushing my teeth. I wet the brush, do my thing, and then I try not to have too much running water. So the idea that, you know, that a single person could be drinking the equivalent of 600 and what did I say, 680 whatever thousand cups of tea, I mean, that would be enough for the whole of Hackney for 6 months, I'm sure. Yeah. Because we don't even drink that much tea anymore in the UK. It's more coffee now. Anyway, I digress. So the question was, let's take a look here. Oh, thank you so much, Tobiah, for your kind donation. Much appreciated. And Ma, correct. Thank you so much for your donation. Much appreciated. And Katie Mead, how many in SCOTUS have ties to Epstein and icky business? Yes, let's take a look at that. And then someone is also saying, Hogarth, can you read on Mykonos? I keep hearing Mykonos for the past couple of months. Please read if something is coming out of Mykonos or happening, or Mykonos, please. Thank you. Oh, all right. Let's do a quick bit of Mykonos, and then let's see if there's anything going on with Mykonos. Hopefully, we just get the sun card for lots of hot sunshine. Mykonos. It's one of the, isn't it one of the Spanish islands? Yeah. Isn't it one of the Spanish islands, Mykonos? Or is it Greek? My God, my brain's gone blank. I think it's Mediterranean, and or is it? God, I need to have a quick Google on that. Let me just pull some cards. I'm going to pull the cards, and then I'm going to take a quick look at Mykonos. Let's educate ourselves, actually. Let me do share screen. Let's just do share screen, and then do 1 second. I'll just get a new tab up first, and then let's just have a quick look, see what the shtick is with new tab, share, and then let's do Mykonos. Mykonos. I think that's how you spell it. Mykonos. It must be Greek. Let me just see. Mykonos Island. Yeah, there we are. Island in Greece. Island in Greece. Images. So this is Mykonos. Oh, God, doesn't it look gorgeous? Oh, look at those seas. Oh, I can just imagine having a lovely meal. Imagine having a lovely meal, some wine and food right there. Oh, it's stunning, isn't it? It's beautiful. All right, let's see if there's any news. Mykonos news, flights, Airbnb. Let's Mykonos news. See if there's any news. Latest news, breaking stories, comment Mykonos tourist charged. Oh my gosh. So the independent newspaper is saying here, tourist charge 1,000 euros for 3 dishes at Mykonos restaurant. Oh, wow. That's extortion. Greek tourist island hit by devastating floods ahead of Easter break. So that was in the past, it looks like. And then everyone's been talking as well about Santorini, isn't it? And earthquakes and that lot. Doesn't seem to be any major news there, but okay, let's do stop share. And let's just have a quick look, see what came up with the cards, because I've not looked at them yet. Oh, that's interesting. I've got a reversal. So here, Mykonos is trying to recalibrate, rebalance itself. Yeah, here it's got this is the temperance card. So they're trying to rebalance. There you saw there was that news article there that tourist was charged €1,000 for three plates, you know, a 3-course meal, which is, or 3 plates of food, whatever it was. But so there's a recalibration here. There's also as well been, sometimes there's been too much tourism. Yeah. So there's a sense that maybe the locals want to change things. If we look here, we've got the emperor, and this can talk about patriarchy. It can talk about rules, regulations, being firm and solid with something. So they're wanting to kind of rebalance the rules in some way. Yeah, rebalance the rules. This is probably applying to tourists, I would imagine. If we look here, we've got the 7 of Pentacles, which of course is the card that I call ROI, return on investment. So this is also looking at what is planted and what the yield is. So a lot of people might be asking themselves, is the tourism a little bit too much? It gives us money, maybe it's too intense. And then if we look here, we've got the Page of Swords. Page is always talking about messages. Swords deal with the mind and communication. So this might be locals protesting or speaking out in the media and stuff like that. And then look, if we look here, get the 4 of Swords reversed. When this card is the right way up, this can often talk about being wounded in battle and wanting to take a break, wanting to take a rest, wanting to step back. So this could talk about the Mykonos residents wanting a break, but this is actually reversed. This kind of intensifies it. This is I mean, I associate, when I'm reading on politics, I associate this card with endings in career and stuff like that. But this is reversed. So this is really kind of like they're really wanting something to end. So I think this is connected with the authorities in Greece, in Mykonos, probably wanting to bring something to an end in regards to tourism, even though it's making a lot of money. Then they're looking at, is it worth it? So that's the sense that I get there. You don't see any tower cards or anything like that. So hopefully it's relatively benign, but I think it's to do with tourism. Obviously, if something extraordinary happens, we'll remember your psychic contribution. So we'll remember that. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks so much for your question. All right, let's look here. Let's take a look at SCOTUS. How many in US SCOTUS have ties to Epstein and his icky business? Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. And who's that coming from? That's coming from Katie. Okay. Do people in SCOTUS have connections to Epstein? Wouldn't surprise me, you know, but I don't want to judge. Let's see what the cards say. I want to SCOTUS have a connection to Epstein. SCOTUS have a connection to Epstein. Now, I pull the cards. If we see the devil card or suspicious card like this 7 of Swords, which deals with stealing things, then most likely. But I don't want to prejudge it. Let's see. How interesting. Wow. Ooh. Oh, look at this. All right, here we go. Remember, we were talking about SCOTUS. Now, remember what I always say in tarot, if cards come back, it is extra emphasis. And you remember the first question was like, will sweetness come to America and all of that kind of, you know, hope and goodness return to America. Do you remember? And the Justice card came up and I started talking about SCOTUS. And this question was SCOTUS involved with Epstein? Look at the card that came up. It came back. This is literally SCOTUS. So that is interesting, but let's just see what the cards have to say. I'm not sure if it's completely connected with Epstein, but I can see who it almost certainly is connected with. So SCOTUS, in a way, have come up. So there certainly could be a connection there. If we look here, though, the next card is the Knight of Cups. This is the card of making an offer. yeah, of some kind. It can be the envoy. However, this card is also known as a card of seduction. It's just come to me, yeah? This is a card that is associated with seduction. Yeah? So maybe SCOTUS has been offered something or some kind of something seductive. However, if we look here, though, we do see the Five of Cups is back again. And this is the card that fell out when I was reading for the United States. So you saw me shuffle and I picked with either my eyes closed or looking away. So we can see this card has to come back. And it's asking about, but there is a sense here of loss, of betrayal, yeah, of backstabbing. But in what sense? Is that because maybe SCOTUS have not done their job and this is how the victims of Epstein feel? Is it to do with that? Or is there a sense of loss or is one of them being blackmailed? Oh my gosh. Could it be that? SCOTUS, seduction, but then a sense of loss, foreboding, betrayal. Wow. Was one or some of them seduced? And then look, we get the Four of Wands. Now, this card is a card of reaching landmarks. Yeah, reaching a landmark. It often deals with wedding celebration, but as you guys know, I associate this card with the White House. With the White House. So here, this is talking about, obviously, it's talking about Duck L'Orange, SCOTUS, some kind of offer, some kind of seduction, which has led some of them to feel a sense of loss or betrayal in connection with the White House, which is obviously Duck L'Orange, most likely. And then look, the outcome card is the Three of Wands. Now, wands, as you know, I associate with entrepreneurship, but with passion. But the Three of Wands, if you look here, you see there's ships here. This is the wealthy merchant looking out. This can talk about SCOTUS's connection to overseas things, overseas. This card, more than any other card, talks about imports and exports, yeah, because you're waiting for the ship to come in. You remember the Two of Wands has got the guy's got the globe in his hand, but this one, the ships have actually gone out and he's waiting for them to come back. So what this is telling me is that there is an element here of foreign money or influence involved with SCOTUS and the White House. So if we read the cards backwards, which I like to do from time to time, there is an international influence here that maybe we can't see, but maybe now these ships are starting to come in connection with the White House, yeah, which is also influencing SCOTUS. But there is this sense of betrayal or being backstabbed in regards to some element of seduction or some offer being made. So what that says to me is, because this was an international crime ring and none of the perpetrators have been caught, I think, you know, there may be one or two members of SCOTUS that might be involved in this, and maybe they're being blackmailed or something like that, yeah, to make legal decisions in someone's favor, yeah, who lives in the White House for entertainment purposes only. But I think you can work that one out, yeah. It's the cards, isn't it? I hope you found that interesting. All right, let's see who else is in. Ma says, hi, I'm from Florida, Cuban American, and I'm totally sad about the alligator Alcatraz. How can my country become, I think you mean like as in, not as in German now, but as kind of Nazi. I'm to Latinos. What do you see for Cesanti. Is Cesanti someone who's been taken into custody, or do you mean DeSantis? I'm not quite sure, but let me know. Let me know. But let's just read on that, because I mean, oh my God, the alligator Alcatraz is just outrageous, isn't it? Absolutely. It's like, wow, really? It's like they're kind of coming up. Do you remember how once I said that, I think it was on Hogarth's Financial Astrology, that channel, and I said it's like Trump wants to live out his darkest fantasies. Do you remember me saying that? This is part of his fantasies. Oh, wow. It's a whole bunch that fell out. It's a bit too much. Let's just look. Because look, you saw, it just fell out. There's a lot of, you know what? I'm just going to read it as it is, as it's fallen out. Literally, as you can see, I'm just going to read it as it is. Because it just fell out in a clump. So spirit speaking. So cards on alligator Alcatraz. What's this all about? Here we see the Five of Swords, which can talk about an abuse of power. Yeah, this is talking about an abuse of power. Someone who's gone too far. This has clearly gone too far. However, if you look at the next card, there are some people, sadly, that are celebrating this, who actually want it and are going like, good, hee hee hee. Literally. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. That is the card of celebration. If we look here, the next card that comes out, or that fell out, was the Magician. So this talks about wanting to use all of the tools at your disposal. Yeah, this card, as you know, I also associate with Elon Musk. Yeah, but this can also talk about powerful people. So, you know, it's obviously clearly being orchestrated by the powerful. If we look here, we get the Ace of Pentacles. So there's an element of money to this as well. Apparently this alligator Alcatraz cost, what was it, $480 million to build? And it's like, really? It's like some iron beds and not chicken wire, but that doesn't cost, you know, I doubt if it even cost $1 million bucks, let alone 400 and whatever. So that's clearly some element of corruption there. They've been setting that up as well so that it can take the state cash. And if we look here, there is an element here of not liking the options on the table. Yeah, so I think people are starting to reflect on this a little bit. What else do we have? Oh my gosh, I think it's just, this is just too many cards, because I don't want it go on and on and on. But if we look here, decisions. No, actually, it wasn't that. It was this one. It was this one that was next. We've got the 10 of Wands. So this can talk about tremendous amount of work, overwhelm. I think this is them funding the ice, wanting to go further. But look, the Two of Swords. I think people are in two minds now. I think that those who initiated this, who wanted this to happen, yeah, for the money. But I think this can also talk about the wealthy donors. But I think they're starting to regret things now, because of course it's affecting you. You can't just go around snatching people off the streets and just deporting everyone and expecting the economy to work. It's madness. It's just madness. But I think it's turning out to be a lot more work than they thought. And now there's like some people in two minds. I think this is also as well, if you think of people that kind of, you know, are just like, oh, down with those people. And now they realize, oh, yeah, bit of a booby prize. So I think I'll leave it there on that one. So we'll have to see if it comes to full fruition, because Trump builds a lot of stuff and it doesn't necessarily get occupied. Yeah. So we'll have to see how that one goes. Obviously, if they put people in there, that is going to be absolutely dreadful, but remains to be seen. I think the people that wanted the money have kind of already got the money already. It's dreadful, isn't it? These people are just so awful. Let's just see here. Old Silver said it's been ridiculous. Anyone that got a DEI hire didn't get the promotions or merit raises that white men got. Right. That's a bit of, yeah, there's some feedback there. There is, and a lot of women have been losing their jobs, you know, on these. When you see a lot of these YouTubes and TikToks, you know, a lot of people, men too, but a lot of women are losing their jobs. It's one of the things I've noticed. Oh, there's over 500 of you now. Thank you. Green Eyed Goddess says it's tough job seeking. The US, even with degrees, certifications, and years of experience. Yeah, I mean, the stories that I'm seeing. One woman said, "Oh, listen to this. I can't vouch for this, but this is what she said. She said, if you are looking for a job and you've got degrees and stuff like that, she said, remove them from your CV." And remove the date of your graduation. And she said, you're going to get more responses. Apparently, what she's saying is that they're not wanting people with degrees. They're kind of, because statistically, you know, apparently if you got a degree, obviously you're going to want more money, and you're more likely to move onwards and upwards. And apparently these employers don't want that. Employers don't want that. Oh, here we are. So Tobias said, friends and family are voting reform. It's scaring how immigration is making people blind. Yes. So just so you know, Tobias, the stuff with the immigrant is all deliberate. And what do I mean by that? Really, what's behind a lot of it, and you know, I don't want to be blaming Russia for everything, but just to give you an idea, I'm going to give you some insight there. Putin is doing his best to push as many people, foreign people, as he can into Europe and countries and stuff like that. Why? What's the logic? So I learned recently that apparently I think it's like 200,000 people from Pakistan have been put into Belarus with the sole purpose to put them into Europe. Because why? Because what it does is it stresses people. Yeah, it stresses people and it feeds a narrative. And then when people are starting feeling stressed and they start feeling scared, they're more likely to vote for the far right. Do you see the logic? So what you do is, if you're like Russia, Putin, or because remember, you've got to remember, Farage knows all these people. Yeah, he's up there, you know, he's rubbing shoulders with Dr. Orange, and he's been proven he's got connections to Russia. I think some of the things were a bit tenuous, but you know, he's to the right. Yeah, so he wants the right to win. He's connected with the far right in Europe anyway, and there's nothing hidden about that. So when there's stories about immigration and all of this kind of stuff, it helps their cause. So you get the pushing in of those people to move everyone to the right, and then they can have that authoritarianism that they want. Because really, so much of what fascism is about, it is about corporate control of the state. But they use immigration because it's one of the best ones to convince people that stuff is going wrong. Yeah, and it's also the biggest scapegoat as well. And also as well, it's tangible, it's different because they look, you know, for most part, they look different. And that is also what, when he was, it's now called Reform, isn't it? But when it was UKIP and all of that stuff, that's always been Farage's shtick. And unfortunately, it works. It's very effective because people struggle to see it. Yeah, they struggle to see the connection. Let's see here, more praise for Libby, and then Angela saying, I'm intrigued. I've never seen Libby. Yeah, me neither, but I'm not looking forward to it. Tobias here, I'm intrigued too, just happened on around midnight. And then let's see. And then Layla G says, we need to stay positive and know that this will pass. Yes, it will eventually. Of course, it will eventually. But there's a lot to, you know, we've got a lot of billionaires that are trying very, very hard. And this is why I'm feeling more optimistic for this new party in the UK, because it's genuinely giving people an alternative. And then Deanne says, hello, Garth, do you see any civil fighting and riots breaking out in America worse than George Floyd's civil unrest? All right, let's take a look. And then Lady G says, stay strong, love from Washington State. All right, so let's see. There'll be civil unrest in the United States. And it's good to focus on the positive as well, but you can see people are also asking questions about stuff. So my job is to read. But if you want me to read on positive things as well, put those in the questions too, and I'll scroll through. There'll be civil unrest in the United States. There'll be civil unrest in the United States. George Floyd styling stuff. Let's have a look. All right. Thanks so much for your question, by the way. Oh, now this is interesting. I'm not seeing like the tower or anything like that, or the 5 of Wands, which would indicate that. So if we look here, we've got the 3 of Pentacles, and this is the card of collaboration. Yeah, this is the card of collaboration. So the key is Americans have to come together, irrespective of backgrounds. Everyone has to come together and work for a shared goal. Yeah, work for a shared goal, a plan. Yeah. However, in the obstacle position, we see, look, the anguish, the nightmares. Yeah, this is a lot of people getting sleepless nights. Yeah, because it's very, very stressful. If we look here, though, we get the Page of Wands. Remember, pages are always about messages. And this card in particular is the orator, but wands also deal with business as well. And this also deals with youth and students. So this is about people speaking up. People really, really have to speak up and out. And they need to get what? The Chariot, some kind of movement going. Yeah, some kind of momentum, some kind of movement going. So yes, there needs to be kind of things like protests and stuff like that. People have to keep going. Yeah, people have to keep going. It's about creating a movement, and a movement of what? Of truth. Yeah, here we got the sword of truth, the ace of swords. So this is about putting truth front and center in politics and everything in civil life. All of the lies have to stop. People have to stop voting as well for liars. Yeah, the truth has to be paramount. And if America does that, that's when things will really start to improve. But people need to see the reality first. Yeah, they have to see through the illusions and delusions. Yeah, which is a lot of what Saturn is doing right now. Let's see here. Oh, as someone says, Lightseeker said, I've got to schedule a session with you ASAP. You are wonderful. Oh, thank you. You are welcome to. So just, in fact, for anyone actually, if you would like a consultation with me, then of course you can visit hogarthglobalastrology.com. Yeah, and you can see it all there, and just feel free to book. Do tarot, archetypes, and of course the astrology and combinations as well. You can have some astrology with tarot, or the tarot on its own. I'm flexible. Depends what you want to talk about. Thank you. Lady G says, thank you, I appreciate that. And then Libby says, Connie B said Libby created her own deck. Fabulous. And then Connie B says, perfect. That'll be 4 p.m., which is when I'm off. Oh, good. So you'll be able to join me. Wonderful. Oh, here we go. Another question has come in. Let's see. So Linda says, question, Hogarth, do you Ghislaine Maxwell telling the truth? Right. Let's see, Ghislaine Maxwell. Will she tell the truth? I think she has told the truth in private. Yeah, when they went to meet her, apparently she didn't hold back and she just let rip. Because the thing is, once you're in prison, lying further is not going to help your cause. Remember, she was given partial immunity, wasn't she? She was given partial immunity. So it means the stuff that she said, the statements that she made from prison or wherever they met her, can't be used against her. So I think she did tell the truth. She probably laid it down, actually. But let's just see what the cards have to say. Ghislaine. What's going on with Ghislaine? What's going on with Ghislaine Maxwell? What's going on with Ghislaine? What's going on with Ghislaine? This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Now, do you remember this card has come up a few times? And when I was reading on Trump, seeing how things were going to affect him and all of that stuff like that, the Queen of Pentacles came up before. Now, the Queen of Pentacles not only refers to females, but it tends to refer to women with darker hair, dark hair. Ghislaine is the dark brunette. Well, she's a raven hair, really. In the UK, it's a bit old school, but we would call her a raven hair because her hair is black rather than brunette, which is normally brown. But anyway, this is Ghislaine. Yeah, the question was, what's going on with Ghislaine? So we see she's right there. And you see here, she's holding that coin very firmly. So it means she's got a few tricks up her sleeve. It means that she's holding something of great wealth, or shall we say of great value. She knows all the names. She's been locked up, and then obviously, you know, what's his name? Epstein was unalived, it seems. You know, they say he killed himself, but his brother is adamant that he did not. And I heard some interview somewhere with the brother, and I actually believe the brother, because, you know, when I just energetically, psychically tuned in, I was like, the brother's telling the truth. So she knows she's got all the secrets. She's got the thing of value. She's probably got some stuff that's very explosive. What is this about? You see here the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is the only card that's got all generations, all 4 generations on the card. You got the grandpa, you got his children, the grandchildren are playing somewhere, and you got the dogs. Yeah. This also talks about institutions. It also talks about big money institutions. I associate this card with the GOP as well, but it can be any big institution. She has got the goods on the people that are in the institutions. This is why they don't want to release the Epstein files, because it's going to implicate a ton of people. And just in case we weren't sure, look, the devil, yeah, which is the card of what? Addiction, corruption. This can deal with, it can talk about bipolar, it can talk about sociopathy and psychopathy. So it's very often we'll talk about deep malaise or even attachments to vices. Yeah, so of course she is attached herself to vice and wickedness, which is why she's locked up in the first place. But it's not just that. Yeah, Ghislaine is here, but it's her information on what? Institutions, the corruptions of institutions and people in power. That is the juice, of course, that she's got. If we look here, if this news was to come out, here we'll see the big fights, yeah, the disagreements. It's already happening. But if she gets to speak, if her stuff becomes public, it will be even more. And it's going to cause a lot of what? Anguish, nightmares. For who? Yeah, those in power, but also as well those who learn the truth. Yeah, any more of the MAGA base that is still with Duck L'Orange, you know, as the revelations come out, they're going to be feeling more like this. And just for everyone, because it's just a nightmare, absolute nightmare. But she knows. So I would say, in terms of the question, was she telling the truth? Yes. Yeah. She's not going to be able to speak in public unless they're going to put her in front of Congress, which I think they spoke about, isn't it? But if they do, believe it or not, yeah, she's In fact, they don't really want her to speak at all, really, in terms of what she knows. So they're probably gonna take some written statement for her and try and spin it. But if Ghislaine suddenly comes out and says Trump was not implicated and he had nothing to do with it, no one is going to believe it. Yeah. So yeah. Someone's saying here Maxwell is not a victim. No, she's not. I don't think I said she was. Like I said, she deserves to be in prison. But the way that this is being handled is just bonkers, isn't it? Did I get my book cover so Amazon bots approve it as being so let's see here what else. Let's see if there's any more. Oh, Grace Gilbert said, I think American problem started with our pride. Let's see here. And Karen saying hubris. And what's this? And Layla G said, can anyone tell me what the reason was that the DOJ went to talk to Maxwell in the first place? I really don't know or understand why. Well, I think the reading, because obviously you wrote that before I did the reading. I think the reading reveals all. They basically, I think they were trying very much to convince her to give a certain narrative that could potentially exonerate Duc Larange. But no one's going to believe it. And she would have been bargaining hard on her side because, of course, she's looking at 20 years, 20 years in prison. So she served 4 already. So she's got another 16 to go. What are you going to do if you're Ghislaine? You know, you're going to try your best to get out of there. And I think she's got so much juice and so much dirt. When I read on it last time, they come to some sort of agreement. It's not right, but I'm saying that is what is most likely. If he were to completely exonerate her, that would obviously be absolutely outrageous. But we'll have to see. She's got a lot of dirt. And Green Eye Goddess said most of SCOTUS has been bought and paid for. Unfortunately, yeah, there's a lot of truth in that. Look, can you believe it, guys? The time has gone in a flash. Grace says, I have a lighter question that will the fallout be for South Park after their recent episode? I did read on South Park. Remember, I actually did that on my Friday fry-up. I did read on that. Let's just pull one card because the time has gone already. Let's put one card for South Park. What's the outcome for them? One card, do a one card pull for myself. One card, South Park. What's the outcome? Oh, look, they push comes to shove, they can just go abroad. Yeah, broaden their horizons. They're free. They may even be looking to leave the country. Yeah, and they can just do their stuff abroad. So for me, I think that would be the outcome. If things get a little bit hairy for them, then they will go abroad and set themselves up somewhere. It could be Europe, it could be Australia, who knows, but they'll set themselves up somewhere and just have an empire over there. So anyway, I will leave it there for now because the time has gone in an absolute flash. Thank you so much to everyone for your donations. Much appreciated. And your questions. I hope you found that interesting. You will see me, of course, tomorrow. I'm going to ask for questions now. I'll just write it in the whatnot. So put your questions forward and you'll see us tomorrow. So it will be Lady G, Sheila and Libby tomorrow for the Hogelish show. So yes, see you all tomorrow. All right, big love everyone, and I will see you all soon. Cheers.